We are live, ladies and gentlemen, so let's do this. Today was an interesting day, that's for sure, Broncos fans. I think I was surprised. I know I was surprised. I think you'll be surprised by what I have to say from the locker room for the Denver Broncos after getting embarrassed by 50 points to the Miami Dolphins and having a defense drop 70 on them. Yeah, the question now becomes, can they make defensive adjustments this week going up against Chicago? It is a Wednesday edition of Orange and Blue Today. I'm your host, Cecil Lammey. Andrew Mason is still in the locker room and still gathering audio. So Mace will take a Wednesday off. This is our normal schedule now that we've kind of figured out things with Sean Payton, but the Broncos need to figure things out. And they need to figure things out on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, there's some things that we'll get to, as you can see my sidebar here. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But I need this defense. You need this defense to perform better. Good news is they're going up against a team that has a quarterback that is not playing up to his potential, as a coaching staff in Chicago that doesn't know how to get the best out of their quarterback. They do have players that you'll need to monitor. But moving players around for the Denver Broncos, I think, is key. And I think it's something that you'll see this week. One, perhaps by necessity. And then two, just based on what you saw against Miami and what you need to see differently against Chicago. This is what the Broncos have to do. They're not just going to go in. And the good news is, and I apologize, I know there's people in the chat room that get all mad because why do you keep saying you can't say what you saw from practice? Because I like my job and I want my key to the building to work. Like, yeah, I'm not going to say that, but I'll just say, like, you're not going to see the same plan and personnel groupings out there. Can't tell you who. I can tell you that Josie Jewell's a little bit banged up. Don't know if he's going to play. You'll likely see more Drew Sanders if Josie Jewell can't play. Alex Singleton is do his thing. That's fine. I think in that defensive secondary, there are some players that maybe they should take out, but they haven't been able to take out yet. We'll continue to watch the Justin Simmons practice participation. I believe they called him limited today. Matthew, double check on that for me, because I think the injury report did come out while I was sitting here waiting to start the show. But just from my practice observations, like, Simmons was out there. He just wasn't doing everything. So I'll assume that's limited. Don't think I'll get in trouble for saying that because the injury report's already out. So Justin Simmons, a key defender, obviously, and a key piece for this Broncos defense that needs to be out there. If he's not, there will be players that are moved around, and it will be different than what you trotted out against Miami. And the coaching staff has made it clear. And there's a few things from that locker room that are very, very interesting. But the coaching staff, just from practice observations, has made it clear that the players that they may be not necessarily blaming for the loss, but the players that may not have as large of a role going forward because of their play against Miami. And it's just part of the game. Nobody should be happy. I don't think anyone in Broncos country is happy. So I'm not up here like gloating about, hey, that player can't play. Like I told you. No, none of that. There's just players that are going to be moved around now. I think in the secondary, I believe perhaps even on the defensive line, we'll see some of that. Again, we're watching injury situations. Mike Purcell there in the middle. Is this the week where you say to Tyler Lancaster, like, or PJ Mustipher, like, okay, now you're up. Now you're off the practice squad and you're active for this game against Chicago. And it's Justin Fields. In talking to a few defenders today, Jerry Jeudy was an offensive player. I talked to Adam Troutman, talked to Jaquan McMillan. I talked to, I'm trying to remember the other person, but either way, like, Kareem Jackson. In talking to the defensive players today in that Broncos locker room, it was clear that containing Justin Fields and keeping him in the pocket and taking away his rushing ability, that is key. In order to do that, if you're without a Mike Purcell, and we'll watch his practice participation during the week, then that's where a Mustipher, somebody like that, could be moved around. So there will be moving pieces. There will be moving parts. You'll see it on Sunday, and then we'll watch the practice report. Some of these moving players are going to be due to injury. But again, some of these moving pieces are going to be because those are the guys they didn't think put in the best effort against Miami. Now, it's not like anybody did, and 24 missed tackles and all these sorts of things. And Jaquan McMillan talked about that, and it was Mace that asked him the question about that. So we'll get to that. That'll be on tomorrow's show. We'll play some locker room audio that both Mace and I have gotten over the course of the next two shows. So Thursday and Friday. Wednesday is solo. Thursday, Friday, lots of locker room audio, lots of conversation, and just I kind of wanted to let Broncos country know, like, you're mad, you want some pieces changed. Vance Joseph's still here. Whatever, what's it going to take? Does he last through the season? That's a conversation for a different show. But just based on today, know that there are players and situations that they're moving around defensively and schematically. It will not be the same as it was in Miami. But overall, you look at this team going to perhaps some of the younger guys. I want to see more of Riley Moss. And again, it's early in the week. Today's the first day of practice. I know. And Jerry Jeudy was not mean at all in this answer, but one of the reporters is like, what do you think this week of practice? He's like, today was the first day. Okay, but they're preparing, they're getting ready. We want to see more of Riley Moss. We'll see if he can get out there for more than just special teams. That might be part of the secondary changes that you see from this Broncos team. We know that De'Aaron Turner-Yell hasn't played well. We know that Asang Bassi hasn't played as well as I thought he would. We know that Damari Mathis has not played well, and I believe it's Mathis that has a perfect passer rating against him. Whenever he's targeted, quarterbacks have a perfect passer rating against him, or it might be Turner-Yell. It's so bad in the secondary. Just know that Riley Moss getting healthier, getting more involved in the game plan, that's probably coming, and it's something that we'll watch for in practice. Can't say it, but we can just kind of guess, okay, what are the answers for the Broncos? Where do the answers come from for this team? And that's going to come from the younger players. It's going to come from a J.L. Skinner if he's ready. I don't know if he is, but there will be moving pieces, and that's where you have to live with the mistakes of younger players. Drew Sanders was out there playing like his hair was on fire. I mean, Drew Sanders, who I love, my number one inside linebacker in this class. The Broncos get him. I'm doing the dance of joy. I'm excited. I think you should be excited about Drew Sanders, a really good player, very athletic player with recovery speed. I think if the play's in front of him, he is fine. I want to see his hips turn and have him cover downfield. I don't think that's as fine. Maybe against Cole Kmet this week, that might be a concern. But when you have Drew Sanders out there, again, Josie Jewell on the side field today, we'll continue to watch his practice status with Jewell dealing with the groin injury. Drew Sanders, you're going to have to live with those mistakes because he's got to slow down a little bit. They're almost in a wave where you play without patience. You're playing too fast, even though it's a fast game, and it's really the discipline. I've often said that because most college players that come into the league, they're already fast. And, what's a 4.5 compared to 4.3? Like, okay, I'm not going to get into those semantics, but it's really the discipline that these players play with that is difficult for some collegians to keep up with, even though they're fast too. They're fast, you're fast, but they know where they're going. And with Drew Sanders, he's out there, he's running around, he's all like super eager, right? He's just over here, he's over there, it's like he's overrunning plays. Part of the reason with Drew Sanders, and I've watched this game 3 times now, 3 times, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. And with Sanders, it's like you're running yourself out of the play. Again, super athletic. He knows where it's going. He diagnoses well. It's not like Sanders is out there getting fooled or taking false steps because he has bad eyes. And that's one thing when you look at young defenders. This is where I don't think J.L. Skinner's ready yet. Do you have bad eyes? Are you looking for the kill shot, the big hit, or are you looking for where the ball's going? Are you just following the quarterback's eyes? Are you getting fooled by a pump fake? These sorts of things. I don't necessarily see that with Sanders. It's not perfect, okay? You're going to have to live with the mistakes of these young players, like a Drew Sanders, playing more. If you're the Broncos going forward, again, Jewell's banged up with that groin. You're going to have to watch that anyway. But that might be a case of where you just kind of got to live with it. But tell Drew to slow it down a little bit. Didn't talk to Drew today. I'll see if I can get him in the locker room tomorrow. Really good guy, good with the media, whatever. But it really is part of using your athleticism in the right way, but not being impatient with what you see, understanding the timing and obviously the speed. And perhaps maybe that's where Drew's fault was mentally, is that he was thinking he's going up against a fast team and Mostert is fast and A-Chain. I always called him A-Chain, so it's going to take me a while to get to A-Chan. But anyway, Devon A-Chan, he's super fast. And maybe that's where Sanders was kind of running himself out of plays. And again, it wasn't because of bad eyes. And that's the good thing. There are some silver linings. Y'all aren't going to believe it. Nobody's going to want to talk about it. And trust me, I'm in the Fire Vance Joseph crowd as well. Okay? I thought they would do it. Good teams do it. The Broncos didn't do it. And they will eventually. So again, not happy about it, but whatever. But the silver linings from this team is Sanders failed. He failed miserably against the Miami Dolphins, but it wasn't because he's dumb. It wasn't because he doesn't know what's going on. He's just playing too fast. Like, slow down a little bit. Take it easy and let the play develop. Use your speed to get there. When you see it, like, he's seeing it sooner. Like, Jewel's always seen things sooner. Jewel has really good eyes. He always has. The problem with Josie Jewell coming out of college is that he was a little bit shorter, didn't have the arm length that you wanted, and he wasn't fast, but his brain always kept him ahead of the play. Well, Sanders is fast. Sanders does have length, but if your brain keeps you ahead of the play, then you're ahead of the play. You're not Jewel getting there on time because you process fast, but you're not as fast physically. Sanders is fast physically. He processes fast, and that's why he's getting to plays before they're there, or he's overrunning plays, or he's out of position generally. So there are silver linings. You may not believe it. Hell, I don't even believe it myself saying it, but just trust me on that. It's bad, okay? May not be as bad as you think it is. Okay, it's Orange Blue Today, presented by Sean Ponda. I'm Cecil Lammey, living with the mistakes of young players. If that's more Riley Moss, which it could be, if that's more Drew Sanders, which it should be, Jail Skinner, again, you're going to have to live with those mistakes. On the flip side of that, I don't think it's a mistake to give Marvin Mims the ball more and to use those explosive plays more to set things up. Chicago is an absolute sieve defensively. They give it up like they're handing out Halloween candy. So go get those touchdowns. And Justin Fields has never beat a team that has scored more than 19 points in his career. And all the years that he's been in the league, it's only been a few. But Fields has never won a game when the opponent has scored 19 or more. 20 points is the goal. And this team can get 20 points in the first half, Eddie, because I believe they're going to use Marvin Mims more. I believe in being in that locker room today, and it was very interesting because I was not necessarily worried, but I was concerned, right? How is this locker room? Some of the guys already aren't necessarily friendly. They're friendly enough. They're cordial, but they're not. And I don't want anyone to be like buddy, especially after a game like this. Like, hi, how's it going? How's the family? Like, no. It's about business, man, and you're not getting your business done. This team is ticked off. I'll clean it up for YouTube, our YouTube overlords. Please don't demonetize us. Being in this locker room today, I can tell you to a man, every single one of those guys is ticked off. They're mad. They're mad in a good way. All right? They're tackling fuel, which they need because they're horrible tacklers against the Dolphins. But that tackling fuel that this team now has, there's a fire that is burning with the Denver Broncos. And if you're the Chicago Bears, you're the one that they're going to take the punishment out on. And I'm not going to predict a big Broncos win. I am predicting a Broncos win, but I'm not going to say they're going to win like 35-3. But if they did, I wouldn't be surprised, because I was really curious today. I'm going in the locker room. I'm like, okay, who's going to talk? Who's a little bit unfocused, who's sad. Like, I didn't know what emotion would come from that group of men. And again, collectively, from a Kareem Jackson who talked today, just from witnessing Russell Wilson's behavior in the locker room this year. First off, he's in the locker room way more than he was last year. Last year with his office, he wasn't in the locker room. He wasn't one of the fellas. This year he is. And, while we've seen earlier in the year, Russell Wilson, playing some music, having some fun with the guys, I'm not saying it wasn't fun today, but this is business. And that pep rally, turned into an event. That pep talk turned into a pep rally, if I'm going to get the quote right. The pep talk turned into a pep rally, and not just this like, Liz, we can do it, guys. But again, there's a thread of anger in this team, and it's good to see. It's pride, to quote Pulp Fiction. Feel that on the back of your neck? That's pride messing with you. Again, got to clean it up for Matthews over there, and also YouTube overlords, but still, like, that's pride messing with you. And you know what I mean when I say messing with you. And the Broncos, it didn't look like it against Miami. I get it. I hear you guys. I see the chat room blowing up. Like, it didn't look like they had that pride in Miami. Well, they did. And I think that thread of anger that's running through this locker room can be a positive for the Denver Broncos. Again, it's just an emotion, but it's an emotion that sparks action. Remember the Holy Trinity: thoughts, emotions, and actions. Well, they know what they think. They think they're better than they are. I think they're better than they are. They're not an 0-3 dog crap, trash, garbage team. Their defense coordinator needs to be fired. I'll continue to say that. Like, whatever. I'm not happy about it. It's a results-based business. Their defense stinks. But these players know that they can perform better than they have. Chicago is a dog trash garbage team. If you don't beat the Bears, you got problems, Mac. Like, lots of problems. But is there any sort of dissent? No, not at all. And I thought you might pick up on that, even though it's week 4. I thought there might be a hint of that. And I've seen that locker room this way before, even in years past when it was denied by Wade Phillips himself that the locker room was split between offense and defense because the defense was balling and the offense was terrible. There was a split. There was a resentment in that locker room. Wade denied it. Sorry, Wade. I love you, son of bum, but that was the truth. Now, you don't see the offense pointing the fingers at the defense. You don't see the defense kind of hiding in their lockers. There's a sense of pride. Again, I'll go back to that word, the pride that this team has in each other, in themselves. And there is a confidence that they know they have to show. I've talked to a lot of players. Again, Jaquan McMillan talked. We're going to play some of that audio on tomorrow's show. It's on that video from interview Mason and I did with him. But like, he's a confident player. He wasn't real brash today. He doesn't have any reason to be. They're 0-3 and they just got beat by 50. But there's this quiet confidence. And that's throughout all of those players. That's throughout every single one of them. So the locker room was angry today, but that's a good thing. I'm not saying that as a negative. I don't see it as a negative. Now, to wrap things up here, Orange and Blue today, we're presented by Sean Ponda. I am Cecil Lammey. Again, Andrew Mason is still collecting audio and clips and all those sorts of things. Sean Payton's schedule means I got to cut out early. Mason's got to stay late. Mace will be here tomorrow and Friday, of course. Don't worry about that, baby. But borrowing from Mike McDaniel, it's something I chart plays for every team in the league. Not for them, but I chart I chart the plays for every game. It's for fantasy football purposes, but it allows me to learn tendencies and play design. Like, okay, it's 3rd and long. What do they like to do? Usually I'll know. And I do it as, big mouth schmuck on radio, YouTube, whatever. Imagine how defenses do it. But what you're seeing now, and I imagine that Sean Payton will do it. Again, I'm not revealing anything from practice. I won't do that. I can't do that. But the rest of the league, you know what they're doing? They're borrowing from Mike McDaniel. And you're seeing things like fly motion to dig, like these things that are McDaniel only now are infiltrating to other teams, even teams where, you have that same lineage of that Shanahan line. So can Sean Payton implement some of what the Dolphins did on their offense? And my answer is yes. My answer is yes. And it's really borrowing from history because Mike McDaniel, who I love and have known since he was a teenager, that's a Mike Shanahan offense. So everyone sees it as revolutionary. Watch the 90s Broncos. Okay, now they're faster. All due respect to Stink, who is my mentor, and Terrell Davis, who's my drinking buddy back in the day, not anymore. But anyway, like, I love all those guys. Love Shannon, love Stink, love Tommy Nalen, where you at, like all that type of stuff. But that team wasn't as fast as the Dolphins. The Dolphins are doing it faster, more tempo. But it's the Mike Shanahan system. So can you borrow from that? The rest of the league is. And when I see teams that aren't as good as Miami, because very few are, but when you're seeing these concepts infiltrate even a team like Houston, who's doing really good things with CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, the little rookie doing good things for that team down there in Houston, you're seeing Shanahan concepts kind of take the league by storm. Now, Vic Fangio's defense is what everyone's trying to do with shell coverage and cover two and playing off ball. Like, I believe the Broncos will be a little different with that. The spacing Miami had was incredible. So you're going against a fast team and you're giving them all the space in the world. Like, that's a problem. With Chicago, again, you're going to see moving pieces and you're going to see schematically, things will be different. But borrowing from Mike McDaniel, stealing from the Dolphins offense, and Sean Payton's not above that. Everybody does it. Everybody's doing it. Like Will Ferrell in the old school. Everybody's doing it. Let's go to the quad. Anyway, like, I think that's something you could see. And who are the players to do that? Back to what I said about moving players and Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims is that guy. Who's their Tyreek Hill? It's Marvin Mims. Now, he's not Tyreek Hill. I think he's more Emmanuel Sanders. But what can you do Tyreek Hill type of things with? Short passes into long gains. Fly motion into dig routes. Who's that player you can do that with? That's obviously Marvin Mims. Jaleel McLaughlin. Who can be their Devon Achane? I think I got it right, Matthew. Devon H. I just think of 4chan. Devon Achane. Who can do that? Well, that's Jaleel McLaughlin. So will we see against the Chicago Bears more of Marvin Mims? Will we see more of Jaleel McLaughlin? I don't know. But if you want to do what the Dolphins are doing, if you want to steal some of their plays, which are just Mike Shanahan plays, and Sean Payton has done this, Sean Payton is not against it. And the thing about Sean Payton that we're learning, listen, is he a little bit of an aloha? Yeah, of course. I don't mind that. But he's also not so arrogant and pig-headed that he won't take something that's working that someone else is doing better than he's doing. And that's the sign of a great offensive designer and a great coach. Because a great coach will be like, what works? What can my guys do? What can't they do? I'm going to do what you can do. We're not going to do what you can't do. That's what great coaches do. And you're seeing signs of that. Again, it's practice. So I don't want to sound like VJ, who I don't think has been fired yet. Matthew, check on that. It's a joke, everybody. But yeah, I'm firmly in the camp. They need a new defensive coordinator. It's not going to happen. Whatever. It should have happened. It will happen eventually. Okay. But Sean Payton, what do we know about him? We know that Sean Payton is going to implement things that other people are doing into his concepts. And Russell Wilson, who's been the good, soldier, right? He's yes, sir, no, sir, right away, sir. He's running this offense by design and now being allowed to do a little bit more of what he likes to do. Again, Sean Payton, what are you doing? What can you do? What do you like to do? But you can't do this? Okay, we're not going to leave that alone. You're going to do this and this. And once in a while, you're going to get to do what you like. And what he likes is the moon ball, the Marvin Mims shot. So will we see more of Marvin Mims? Oh, I don't know. But I imagine, weather permitting, it is Chicago. NFLweather.com, Matthew. That's the website we need to know. Everybody knows that you check the NFL weather. I think it's going to be okay for Chicago, but it's Chicago. So I guess you never know. But either way, Broncos country, there is a silver lining. There are not many. I know you may not believe me. You may not like it. Everybody sucks and this team sucks. Blah, blah. Listen, get it off your chest. All right? Get it out. Let it out. Do you feel better? I don't think anybody really does until they get their win. Can that happen this week against Chicago? As Gary Kubiak once famously said, We're fixing to find out. He's Matthew, the man of the box. I'm Cecil Lammey saying thanks for watching Orange Blue today. We are presented by Chomp Honda. Until next time, Broncos country, again, keep your chin up, man. This team's angry. You got to get angry. You got to get mean, as Patches O'Houlihan once said. So, yeah, you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball, and you can beat the Bears because you're more than the average Joes. Anyway, there's a Globo Gym reference in there somewhere. All right, I'm Cecil. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty,